Hello, I'm Greg Retke Mods, and welcome to the very first episode of the aluminum Mac Mini series. And here is all my aluminum Mac Minis currently. Today's episode will be talking about the 2014 Mac Mini right here. And we're not going to go into much detail about it. I'm going to cover in the future each model and why you should consider it over another in this little mini series. And this mini series is going to be one season. It's probably going to be the length of a whole season of a mini series, of a full series, but it's going to be one season. So don't get your hopes up on saying more, although we may have other minis in the future featured on the channel, of course, like we already had the world's fastest Mac Mini, and we had the 32-bit CPU Mac series. And when I say world's fastest 2009 Mini. I gotta always say that real quick, but still. Here are the aluminum Mac Minis. Here's the 2014. This is the most powerful 2014 ever made, and it happens to be the third most powerful Mac Mini of any Mac Mini ever made until October 2018 happened, and the new Mac Minis came out. So this was the most powerful 2014, and it only got beat out by the 2012's quad cores. This is the most powerful Mac Mini ever made until October 2018. This is the 2.6 quad core. This is a 3.0 dual core 4-thread i7. So dual core 4 threads, it's still pretty decent. And we'll be going more into detail about these in the future. But today I need to be upgrading this because this is my streaming Mac Mini also. And there's a stream tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, when is it? Tomorrow night. I'm a little scrambled. My brain's a little tired. I'm half asleep right now. But there's a stream tomorrow night, and I need to get this thing running. This currently has a 5400 RPM hard drive in it. I think it's 1 terabyte, and it takes forever to boot up, and forever for it to ever load anything. It's so painfully slow. And for this being the top-end model, that hurts. And it's so bad. But what we need to do to make this faster is the differences between the 2014 and the 2012 is the 2012 had upgradable RAM, and you could go up to 16 gigs. The 2014, you're stuck with whatever it came with because they're soldered on. This has 16 gigs, so this literally is the top option. The 2012 had room for 2 SATA hard drives, and you could run 2 SSDs if you wanted to. And in fact, this one's going to be upgraded with an SSD and a hard drive and have 3 terabytes of storage, have 1 terabyte SSD and 1 2 terabyte hard drive. And it's going to be cool. But this actually has an advantage over this because this can take Apple's NVMe drives, and I think it was actually meant for their Fusion drives. I don't know if it was actually meant for their SSDs. I don't know how those were optioned, but these could take Apple NVMe drives, which cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Lots and lots of money for an Apple NVMe drive. But thanks to High Sierra and later, these Macs are NVMe bootable with PC NVMe drives. So we have a Sabrent 1 terabyte Rocket NVMe. This is the most powerful, fastest one they have. And we also have the NVMe adapter board. The Apple official adapter board is not an adapter board, it's a ribbon cable. And the ribbon cable clips into the board and then gets taped onto the hard drive, I believe. I think that's how it works. And then you clip their proprietary SSD into the ribbon cable. It's kind of a dumb design. This is an actual board that you can put a full PC NVMe drive on. So we can put a Sabrent NVMe drive in this thing for like a tenth of what it would cost to get the same storage from an Apple drive. Big difference. Also, we will also be putting in a hard drive, a bigger one. This is a 2 terabyte. This will be used for storage, and it's going to help a lot. We may set up a Fusion drive on this, I don't know. But currently, I need to upgrade this. I need to get it working. And this is probably going to take a few days for me to film because I'll have to get it running first. But we're going to be filming upgrading it right now. And there is just one issue with upgrading these. If you notice on the bottom of this, there's no way to get the bottom off. Where on the 2010 through 2012, you just have to spin it sideways and the bottom pops off. Thank you, Apple. Yeah. The problem here is the 2014 uses clips. But honestly, it's easy enough where I think I can probably pop it off with my hands without needing a tool. But I've got a pry tool that can pop it off. And there's another problem. This uses all screws that you could get in most kits. As long as you have some smaller Torxes and stuff, it works. This uses security Torx that are so tiny that iFixit literally had to upgrade their kit so you could get the screws out of it. Thank you, Apple. So in today's video, we will be upgrading this. In fact, I'm going to probably be tearing it completely down and redoing the thermal paste too, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah. But we're going to have to tear it down to put the NVMe drive in and the hard drive and all that stuff, so we might as well just do it, and let's get to it. Okay, so let's get started. And they want you to use tools. Pretty easy. All right. Let's orient it this way. Says there will be 3 4.1 millimeter screws. Okay. Says a TR6. This is the little tiny bit that you won't be able to get in anything other than probably an iFixit kit. Thank you, Apple. So let's get these screws out. And to the side. There's the inside. And it already came with the ribbon cable. That's convenient. So yeah, I don't need that ribbon cable, but I could just clip an SSD in it and be done. But we're not doing that, so. That's strange how that is. It almost looks like someone's been in here before. In fact, it looks like it's missing a number of screws. So what I'm thinking happened was this was an originally a Fusion drive model, and someone came in to take the SSD before they sold it to me. Aren't they kind people? So they didn't put it back together totally correct, and it's missing a number of screws. That's lovely. Yeah, there's supposed to be 2 screws here. And the models that, this is proof this was a Fusion drive system, because if it didn't come with a Fusion drive, this ribbon cable and piece wouldn't even be here. And there should be a bracket right here with 2 screws. There's no bracket. So, yeah. All right, so at this point we need to slide the board forward a little bit, and they recommend using the opening tool, which I actually have a few laying over there, but I'm too lazy to grab them. You don't need the opening tool. The only thing you have to do is, well, actually you could probably even just push on the back of the board here and do it, but the only thing you really have to do is find something to shove into these two holes and pull it backwards. So we use these two screws here. And then pull backwards. Like that. Pretty simple. We can't pull it all the way out because we still have connectors. But we can start sliding it some. Can you guys still see that? Yeah, okay. Okay, so I've got to disconnect this power. I've already taken apart a 2010 and a 2011, and these are built about the same, all of them. So once you figure out how it works, it just pops apart. And that's the entire logic board right there. I need to, look at that, it is nice. Very shiny. And let's see here. The RAM should be right under this metal plate right here. It's soldered on, sadly. But I need to get these screws out and get the heatsink off and redo the thermal paste. And then we'll stick the SSD in it and stuff. I've got to carefully peel this up because I'm pretty sure the SSD has to sit there. We also got to get the hard drive out, which is a few more brackets. So I'm going to redo the paste first and then do the hard drive and all that stuff, and I'll be back. All right, I've taken the screws out of the heatsink, and it should just lift up like so, and then tilt away and pop out. There we go. There is the dual-core CPU there with 4 threads and the Intel Iris graphics. And it's an okay looking board there. We'll clean this up and get it back together, and then we'll work on the hard drive and stuff. Notice something odd about this. Apple didn't put any thermal paste on the die that I think is the integrated graphics. I'm not really sure what that is. I figured that's what that is. And if you look at the heatsink, there's no pad or anything either. I hope I don't need that. I assume I do. But that came from the factory that way, which is another great thermal paste application by Apple for sure. And now I kind of want to put something on that bare die. But if it's been working this long, maybe it doesn't need it. Who knows? It's strange though. All right, so there is the clean die and the clean heatsink. And the next time you see this board, it will probably be back in the machine. There's not much more to film about it other than putting the heatsink back on, and you guys know how that works. So I'll be redoing the thermal paste, getting the heatsink back on, etc., etc. We'll work on the hard drive over there and figure out how the SSD goes in. So we'll get on to that. All right, so we got the logic board back together. Now we need to get the hard drive out. And to get the hard drive out, it appears that we have to start by pulling out the power supply. Oh boy, it's a lot easier on earlier ones. There is the power supply. Talk about literally having to tear down the last screw. Okay. Remove the single T6 right here. Okay. And that lifts right out. And there is the Western Digital 1 terabyte hard drive. Yes, I had to I had the screwdriver in my mouth. So I need to switch this out real quick. And I've got to peel this up because we don't need this anymore. And I believe it's going to be in the way because, I don't know, will it be in the way? It's got to go right there. So yeah, it's going to be in the way. So we got to move that. I think we can secure it to this bracket right here too. That's going to come in handy. So yeah, it's gotta have to peel that off too. So fun times. Wow, that thing was stuck on with a lot of glue. Very sticky for sure. Okay, so here is definitive proof that this has been opened before. This is not the original hard drive. There's no Apple logo on it, and it was built November 22nd, 2019. And all the screws are not right. I've been trying to figure out why I can't get the screws out, because it says they're T8s, and then looked over here, it's Phillips. Yeah. Okay, so I got the new hard drive in. It looks like it's sitting in there right. Everything looks all right and ready to go back in. I assume that I have to put everything back in and then put the NVMe drive in. We shall see. Okay, here's the biggest moment that you all have been waiting for. Let's first see if I can test fit this. This would go here. And it does indeed look like I can use the screw that holds the original NVMe down to help secure it. Yeah. I don't know what size that screw is though. Let's try a T4. It's a T4. So I take this screw out. And this has double-sided tape on it. See if you guys can see that. You can. I think this is double-sided tape. There we go. Line up the connector like so. Let's see if the screw does indeed fit. Yeah. There is the PC NVMe drive adapter right there, installed. And looks like it's clipped in. So yeah, that kind of looks factory, honestly. So that's cool. And it's more rigid. Much better build quality, I think, than this, honestly. But then again, from what I can tell, when you clip in the factory one, this screws actually to clip in the factory NVMe. So, but yeah, pretty neat. So now we can get our NVMe and stick it in. And there's the screws for it. We need a Phillips. Here's the Sabrent NVMe right here. Pretty neat. So it should clip in like so. And then I just need to screw it in and we're all set. And I can finish reassembling the system. And there we go with a PC aftermarket NVMe drive, and it fits very nicely. You know, can't complain about that. It is a very high quality adapter. I think it was 15 bucks. It's totally worth it. So now I just need to reassemble everything. I'll show you real quick what it looks like before I put the cover back on, when I get all the fans and stuff back in, and we'll be all set to hook it up and test it out. And that is what it looks like with everything reinstalled. I just got to reconnect the antenna, put the shield back on, put the screws in, and pop the bottom on, and we're all set. Alright, so I've got it all back together, and it's all ready to work. I'm going to set it up next door because I didn't bring a flash drive over with an installer, and you know, the more I think about this, this might have needed to be flashed first. I'm hoping it's already been flashed before, and it would just work. We'll find out. I will come back and finish up this episode in a day or two after I get this thing running properly, and we test it out. We'll do some speed tests and stuff and make sure everything's working right. So I'll see you guys then. Okay, so I've booted into the Mojave installer right here, and as we can see, the Sabre card is indeed working. So is the 2 terabyte drive I've put in, and I can initialize them and get them working, and have some pretty good performance here. So I'll give you guys an update after everything is said and done, and I've tested this for a while. See you guys then. Here we are live streaming, guys. I'm currently on mute. Everything's working. We're on MacYak right now. It should really need a quad core. It's really maxing it out, but hey, it's working. 1 second. What am I doing? I'm actually filming this because I'm filming for the video that I started filming yesterday. This is part of it. Yeah. So yeah, this is how everything works, guys. And it's working very well. Neat, huh?
He has a monopoly in the design industry. Final Cut Pro has a pretty big monopoly in the film industry, and all the big software suites that are currently out there have no competition.
Yeah.
So why would they optimize? Just keep schmoozing with the VPs of the hardware, and get.
What is Grudy doing?
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
He's muted too.
Bruce, I don't know. If
I'm actually filming this because I'm filming for the video that I started filming yesterday. This is part of it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I did not consent to this.
Yeah.
So, Bruce, are you watching the YouTube chat?
Go to Mac84.net.
You started.
What have I done?
Everybody's hating on my drop shadows and my font choices now because of you.
Hey, I like your drop shadows, man.
That's fine.
Okay, guys, so here we are on the desktop, as we can see right here. If we go up to about this Mac here, everything's working totally fine. And if you saw that video just before this, it worked fine on the live stream, although it did run a little hot. And if you go up here to iStat menus, it's got some temperature problems for sure. Right now I have the fan set on medium. When it's set to normal, it runs the fans at the 1%, which is like 1,000 RPM or something like that, and that doesn't really work out. So I've got it running on medium, and at max load, it still gets up to about 80 on medium fans. If you do it on max, it probably would be an okay temp. But at idle, it's at 60 degrees with the normal fan setup. And currently the CPU is ramping down some, so I don't think it's going to cool down, so it's good. But right now it's still at 57 degrees. It's kind of hot for a system like this. But here we are in Mojave. If we go into storage, we can see the drives we have here. This is the SATA drive, and the SSD, I mean. And this right here is the 2 terabyte hard disk. And if we go to System Report here, and go down to NVMe Express here, here's the Sabrent card, and it is working totally fine, and it even has trim support working on it totally with no problems. The only problem I found with this, though, this setup, is I could have sworn this should have been faster. If we go over to speed disk, speed test here for the disk speed test, and hit start, we're getting about 730 read and write the whole time. And I'd feel that this thing should be getting well over a gig at least. Probably more like 2 gigs. But this is still faster than SATA speeds, so I guess it's not too much to complain about. It's still pretty speedy, pretty fast, so I guess that's not a problem. Plus, if we compare it to, for instance, let's see here, select target drive and go to storage. This is actually, I think this has a 7200 in it now, so it's still not as slow as the original drive. But if we hit start, we were getting about 120 megs per second. It's pretty bad. And that's right. And then eventually it will get to read. Here we go. It's slow. So it was a big boost going to an SSD on this. It's got a faster SSD in it than a 2012 would, because the limitation of the SATA bus speed. That system would only get up to about maybe 580. We'll show you that in the future. But before we wrap up everything, I want to quickly show you the benchmarks here. We've got Geekbench 3, 4, and 5. Let's close out everything that could be hindering this. Now, I will be recording this screen. This is all screen captured, of course. So that's going to hinder the performance of this a little bit. But I thought this would be better than trying to show it on camera. So we'll be doing it and just going with it. So we'll start up with Geekbench 3. And of course, I'll time lapse this all so you'll have to sit through it all. And then we'll show you the end results. So let's run the benchmarks. Okay guys, so here are the results for Geekbench 3, and I guess that's pretty respectable. Everything's working pretty nicely. Nothing much to complain about there. Now let's do Geekbench 4. Wrong button. Geekbench 4. Don't check for now. I don't know what version this is running. This is straight off my Pro. All right, so we'll just run the CPU benchmark and see how it goes. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here are the results for Geekbench 4, as we can see here. You can pause this or whatever. Not bad, honestly. I'll go over the GPU performance in the future when we're doing the eGPU videos and stuff. So right now we're not going to worry about that. And we have one more Geekbench to run, and that's Geekbench 5, and that's where the scores are going to get really comical. Don't check. And, well, let's get to it. guys, so here is the Geekbench 5 results as we can see here. And you can, of course, once again pause it if you would like to. Clock frequency is really low. It doesn't seem right. But yeah, Geekbench 5, it's really low. So anyway, guys, that is about everything for now to show you what the third fastest Mac Mini ever built until October 2018 was like. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. Sorry if I sound a little out of breath now. I was chasing my dog around the house for a second there. She has a bad habit of doing things at the worst possible time. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of this Mac Mini mini-series. And yeah, that's the end of today's video. Don't forget, I am now sponsored by SellYourMac.com. So if you have an Apple device you'd like to sell, just go to SellYourMac.com/RutKMods and sell them something. It will help me out and it will help you out because you'll be making money. And also don't forget that I do now have a Patreon where I release these videos a day early. So if you want to check out these videos a day early and help continue supporting me, you can just go over there and, do that. But once again, the channel is free. You don't have to. As long as you're watching my videos, it helps me out and gets more people onto my channel. So anyway, guys, that's the end of today's video, and this has been a RutKMods video.